Hello, I'm EnterElysium, man. This is IRL News, where we talk about gaming in, well, real life, I guess, and how it affects gaming and what news is up with the games crowd. So, this is a slightly different format. I've got some gameplay in the background. I'm just going to talk over the top of it. It's because my computer's, well, fairly janky at the moment, so yeah, I'm having little problems with that. But, you know, at least you've got some fun gameplay. It's Watch Dogs in the background, by the way, and that Watch Dogs I'm playing, I've got a bug, and I'm just playing around with it, which is, you know, cops can't see me. They know where I fired a gun, but they can't actually see me, so when I fire an unsilenced gun, they'll run to that position, they'll shoot that position, they'll act as if I'm there, but I'm not. It's hilarious. Anyway, we're going to talk about Twitch today and the number of changes that have happened. So, there's three different changes. Firstly, the, well, Justin TV being retired. Secondly is VODs, video on demand. So that, you know, video on demand is like a video that's pre-recorded, like a YouTube video, play it anytime. They're disappearing, really. They're not becoming completely disappeared, but they're becoming time sensitive, so they're going to time out and disappear after a while. And thirdly, the content ID system. I'm going to talk about that last, mainly because I'm going to talk about that at length. So we're going to jump straight in and talk about the Justin TV system. Now, all of this has to be put in the context of, we're pretty damn sure, we're not certain, there have been ridiculous amount of leaks, so many leaks you could basically say that there is a sieve somewhere along the line, that Google are buying Twitch, and they are going to put it into the same department, subservient to YouTube. Justin TV, which actually started and then spawned Twitch after it, was a separate service run by the same people who do Twitch. It ended yesterday. There is now a blank boilerplate on the website saying, you know, thank you, blah, 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 but, you know, we're not longer in service. This kind of makes sense. If Google are buying Twitch, and honestly, Justin TV had hardly any users compared to Twitch. Hardly any. Google would just go, well, we want the decent brand, we want Twitch. We want to be able to integrate some of the stuff from there. We want to have the installed user base. We don't really want to be running a second brand. Sure. So they're getting rid of Justin TV. Twitch is a stronger brand. Twitch is better known. Twitch is a much larger installed user base, a much larger installed partner base, more content. It makes sense. That's pretty much it. Justin TV is gone. Now, VODs. VODs, it was announced today. VODs are changing quite drastically. There used to be, you could check an option and they would live forever. So, you know, you'd make a live stream and it would get saved to the archive. No one really watches, or at least after 2 days, no one really watches VODs of live streams. Because live streams, the point about them is they're live. Well, it's kind of in the name, right? Live streams. If you're watching them afterwards, you lose a lot of the immediacy and a lot of the community interaction. That's what I think live streams are really for, personally, coming from YouTube. They're live streams, they're for community interaction. If the community is watching them afterwards, you don't really get that sense of interaction and it loses its appeal. So what they're doing is to save storage space, and because they've also got back-end a bit arse backwards in how it saves a couple of things, which, yeah, is they're making it time sensitive. So that I think VODs are about 2 weeks long and then they time out and disappear. And I think if you're like a partner or a subscriber or something, then you'll get access to them for like 30 days. And then they time out and disappear. So, you know, I'm not against this. This makes sense, okay? But the thing is, I think this is actually really being done is because if Google are buying Twitch, they don't want to have a second brand competing for VODs. YouTube is a VOD service. YouTube has videos on demand. You press play, they play. If Twitch also had the back catalogue of VODs, it's kind of competing. What they want to do is force people to export from Twitch to YouTube. Which is they're going to do. They also said that in the same document they said they were going to improve the exportability from Twitch to YouTube. Which makes sense. Especially if YouTube are having Twitch integrated. Or, you know, maybe not going to be integrated to the point that we will have UTwitch or whatever, but integrated to the point that we will have a lot closer ties between the two. Twitch is such a strong brand that they won't abolish the Twitch brand, just like they're not abolishing the YouTube brand. Well, YouTube Plus. But anyway. That's why they're really doing that one. Yeah, it also saves storage space, which also saves money in the long run. And I guess because Twitch's archive system is not as structurally robust as, say, YouTube's, it makes sense to move it over to the YouTube backend, which is what they're doing by making you export if you want it permanent. Now, let's talk about the last one, the one that the entire internet is up in flames about, and I've been going on at quite a length on Twitter and so on about. Content ID system. Now, Content ID is a YouTube term for the YouTube system, but I'm gonna use it to refer to the Twitch system, partly because, well, we will have UTwitch in inverted commas fairly soon, it seems, and also because it's a very similar system. Now, what Twitch have done is they've got an outside agency And they are now going to be scanning all the VODs, not streams, all the VODs, for music. In theory, it could be any sort of sound. They seem to be focused about music, but it could be any sound, right? And then they will mute where the sound is found. Now, what Twitch has said in the press release is they will mute where the sound is found. However, we have already seen reported by Gama Sutra that they will actually mute an entire 30-minute chunk, which is ridiculous, because if I played, I don't know, Justin Bieber in my stream, I wouldn't. I just stop living probably before I play Justin Bieber on stream, but you get the point. That should just ban me from that part of the stream. It shouldn't ban me for 30 minutes. I mean, we have this problem with YouTube. If you do the same thing on YouTube, your entire video disappears, or for your purposes of monetization, it might disappear, which is complete bollocks because they don't own the rights to the entire video. So, firstly, that's a problem. Secondly, it's being done by bots, and again, we've already had many issues with bots. Bots are not good. Bots are repeatedly problematic. I know you can't do it with humans because it's impossible to actually police an entire massive service like YouTube or Twitch with humans. But if you're going to use your bots like that, at least make them err on the side of caution rather on the side of vindictiveness, which it seems to be. And here's the one that really, really pisses me off, okay? In their press release or whatever, they said, oh, the bot system is 100% perfect, sometimes it'll get this, that, and the other, that, sometimes it's not, things that don't count. And then went on to tell you, well, you should use things that are, you are sure about the license for. I'm sorry. If you say that, you need to immediately follow up with how I can counterclaim. It does actually go on to mention how you can counterclaim. It says that, if you have a muted thing, you can submit a DMCA counter notification. Now, the DMCA is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. It's the law in America about how you can petition I guess it's a hosting site, a site that has multiple users putting information onto it, about how you can get them to take down something copyright infringing on a site. So if I was to, say, put XCOM Enemy Within, if I was to, upload that to Dropbox, Phyrexis could then tell Dropbox, hey, can you take this down, please? DMCA request. Fine. Now, the bots, they don't submit DMCA requests, because in theory, a DMCA request needs to be filled out in a certain way and also needs to have enough information. As far as I understand it, bots really can't submit that because they don't have enough information to go through. It looks like Twitch is just saying, yeah, if you get a muted thing on your VOD or something, you need to submit a DMCA counter notification. To what? To a bot muting my clip? The bot hasn't submitted a DMCA request. Why should I submit a counter notification? Which requires me to do a lot of, thinking out and writing, this is completely bogus, blah, 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 to a bot. Why should I refute the bot at length? Especially when the bot doesn't give me that much information. It currently seems that there isn't that much information. Just like with YouTube, they say, oh, we found X, which is normally completely bollocks, in Y video. That's it. Right, okay? If you're going to do this, then you have to do it properly and you have to get a lot of information so that the person can then refute it properly. You can't just have... You assume guilt, and then also not allow someone to really properly prove innocence because you don't provide them with the evidence of their guilt or, all that background on it. That's one of my issues with this thing, is that, again, it seems even worse than YouTube in a lot of regards, because YouTube system, the bot says this, you counterclaim. This is, the bot says this, you send a DMCA counter notification, and what Twitch has said is, they may unmute it. Bollocks! Several reasons for this. Firstly, if the bot mutes it, and I submit a DMCA counter notification, I bloody well think that it should be a guaranteed certainty that that becomes unmuted until a human on the other side intervenes. Because human trumps bot every time. Bot is great for trumping large quantities of data. So if I challenge a bot, I should automatically win, because otherwise it's just going to mean that bots will be used to troll people and get everything. Secondly, Twitch will look at them and may unmute, which means that they're going to have to look at them by hand, humans, which means that Twitch is going to have a very large staff base, which, as far as I understand, Twitch doesn't currently have a very large staff base to look at every single problem with muting. And it's not like, oh, the bots are very conservative, they don't tend to mute a lot of things, they don't tend to flag a lot. funnily enough, they've already muted Twitch's own videos. Yep, there has been a case of Twitch's own videos apparently playing copyrighted music, and their own content ID system has muted one of their videos. Bollocks. Secondly, well, I've already done secondly. Thirdly, there's a game, I think it's Crypt of the Necromancer that came out recently. Apparently, the music in that is already getting people's videos flagged. From a fairly nice indie dev. So yes, we are seeing the reoccurrence of the worst cases of YouTube within, I think this was in something like 30 minutes? No, maybe it was about 2 hours. Within about 2 hours of this news really trickling down properly, we were seeing that happening, which is pretty bad. And here's my extra issue on this. We weren't told about this. I'm a partner on Twitch, and I know I'm not a very big partner, but it appears that no partners were told about this beforehand. And I know that it doesn't really affect many, especially YouTubers who do a lot of Twitch, because we come from the perspective of not using this copyright content to begin with. But a lot of Twitch partners, particularly big ones, have actually used copyrighted music, and they do it all the time. I mean, they're wrong to do it, but at least give them a chance to change their ways. Tell them that this thing is coming along. Doing such a wide, sweeping paradigm shift all in one go without letting your actual partners know beforehand? For a start, it's a very Google thing to do, to not let your end users and your partners know about changes that are coming along, not give them any notice or whatever, and not even tell them when they've come out. At least Twitch told them when they come out. That's one thing that Google has done before now. That's a bit shit. These are the people who earn you money, and you're making changes suddenly without notifying anyone until you actually release the change. Because this blog post that told us all of this came out at the same time that this stuff was put in place. That's a bit of a dick move. That shows exactly the level of respect you have for your partners, if you cannot be bothered to give them notice of wide sweeping changes. I must admit, in theory, I'm with, protection of copyright to a certain extent. But not when you do it in a dick way, and not when you don't tell people beforehand. Now here's my biggest issue, right? Because, as I said, I'm in theory, I'm for the protection of people's copyright. If copyright law were better, of course, but still, anyway. Here's the problem. They're currently doing this, of course, for, audio in VODs. They'll probably implement it for video at some point. That seems, a sensible extension. Here's my problem. The reason that they're not doing it for stream audio, it's not because they're just trying to avoid stream audio, because exactly the same laws apply, exactly the same arguments apply that you need to protect people's content. Fine. In streams. Okay? You're getting where this is going. Which means that they will be implementing the same for streams, or they will have to. Why are they not currently, then? Well, here's the reason. How many services offer video on demand? Many. That means that there is a definite market niche for people to produce this software which can match up to music and sound effects, etc., and flag them. How many people offer a streaming service? Not many. Who's the biggest? Twitch. Have they had, as of yet, any implemented sort of auto-flagging for streams? No. This is why. It probably doesn't exist, or no one's written it that's large and reliable and can be used on this scale. Because if it did, I bet Twitch would use it. Because, well, they'd have to enforce copyright. And if they are enforcing copyright, they might as well use it. It makes no sense for them to skip streams and just focus on VODs unless the technology isn't there. And if they start focusing on streams... Because, right, false claims, if they happen on VODs, aren't as important. VODs are a minority of views on Twitch, especially after, like, a day or two. If it happens to a live stream, that is a really dick move. Because, well, at least with a VOD on YouTube, you can watch it another time. The person can delete it and re-upload it. They can edit it. A live show is a one-off performance. Every live show is unique. Every live show is people going out of their way to come and watch it at a certain time. Every live show is the performer taking their time out to perform at a certain time, regularly, with a schedule. It's the equivalent of going into a pub where, a band are performing, nicking their instruments. Because it's a dick move on the band who've got there to perform. It's a dick move on, the patrons of the pub who are there to see the band and drink. And it's a dick move on the pub itself. And honestly, I'm afraid that this change will happen because it makes no sense not to have this change, right? It makes no sense to apply it to a minor part of the business and not to others when it's something as simple and blanketing as law. It's only not being applied to streams, surely, because the technology isn't there. And it really isn't. I haven't heard of a auto-flagging in-stream system. And I'm just afraid it'll go there. In theory, I'm all for the protection of people's copyright. Copyright law does need to be changed slightly. But we know for a fact that bots do not work and are misapplied. And we know for a fact that the way that Twitch have talked about the copyright system, it seems like it could be so misused. And we know for a fact that they haven't shown any regard in telling partners beforehand, which... If you have no respect for the people getting you your money, and you have no wish to actually make their lives easier by telling them stuff in advance, either you're in a very difficult place and you're doing last-minute changes, which is possible since they are being bought by Google, and even then I'm a bit worried, or you're just being a dick. That's what I'm worried about. I don't think it's just malice in there. I think that there is something going on, maybe. But we know that these changes they're never good for the end user. They're never good for the YouTuber. They're not even really that good for YouTube or for Twitch. What they're good for is the rights holders, who often are actually not the rights holders who they should be. It's frustrating, to say the least. Anyway, I've been EnterElysium. I'm going to end it there. Like I said, the main issues I have are how Twitch has communicated this, how Twitch have implemented this. I'm fine with the theory, but come on, if you're going to do it well. It's like we haven't learned from any of the false takedown notices and everything that happens on YouTube. Take YouTube as your case study and improve upon it. It is very easy to do so. I've been EnterElysium. This has been IRL News, and stay shiny.